Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Tactical Approach. I am Greg, and this is Wes.
What's going on?
And this is Kurt.
Hello.
And today, welcome to the show. We are going to be talking about US Nationals that happened back in October. All three of us went to that, and we would like to talk about that and the meta and everything else before we switch over to Season 7, which is going to invalidate all of our perspective and everything we know about Season 6. So the time to find out any ideas about that is now, I guess.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. We actually don't know when Season 7 is coming out. I'm personally hoping for never ever. I hope that that stays in production for the rest of time and never gets released.
I do apologize for our, it's like, Nationals was back in October and you're just now talking about it in January. Part of that's my fault. I moved, so you can blame me, everyone.
We do already, Kurt.
Yeah, we haven't released an episode in a little bit. So we originally were going to do like an overview of the factions. So we did the Lannisters, but the talk about just the Lannister cards took 3 hours, and it was a lot of editing, and then stuff came up, and then we went to Nationals, and then it was the holidays.
And then Season 7 previews started to release, and it's like, well...
and they were apocalyptic. And it was like, what do we even do an episode on? In fact, we've been getting comments on that. One of the guys in our server was like, it seems like everybody has kind of stopped talking. And I think they kind of leave you floored. You're just a little flabbergasted. It's like, what do we say?
By the time you come out with the content and editing is done, it's already changed at the rate things have been happening.
Yeah. But anyway, the Nationals, we went to US Nationals. It was a good time. It was a lot of gaming, though. I've never personally had to play through 6 games in a row. And then on top of that, we also did the team tournament, which would have been another 3 games, except for we got the bye on the first round, so we all just got to leave and go have dinner.
Oh, you sweet summer children, you don't even know about the Nationals at Gen Con from a couple years ago, where we had 5 games in one day on just day 1.
Sounds rough. Like we were all so burnt out by the end of the 6th game. That was like, what was it? It was like 4 games one day, 3 games another day.
4 games day 1, 2 games day 2. Yeah.
Yeah, but then in theory we would have had to do the team thing, but we lucked out.
We had an evening off. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was pretty funny. Like, man, by the time we got to the team game, the competitive spirit was just gone.
People just didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
I played really hard in the team event, guys.
Oh, we had a really good team game. Yeah, Wes had a great team game. We had, what was it, Honed and Ready with 2 Targaryen players, and so neither of them wanted to sit on the objectives.
No, it wasn't Honed and Ready. It was Feast for Crows.
It's Feast for Crows, and they just sat across from each other and had a staring contest.
Yeah, we just didn't want to go into each other's lists, so we just sat there and Drogo yelled across the map at...
Like Grey Worm or somebody?
Yeah, it was Grey Worm, yeah.
Yeah, war cry, tie game. No casualties.
I got all the tokens out. That's all that matters, okay?
Yeah, Wes scored more tokens, so although it doesn't reflect in his score. Yeah, I remember that was Feast for Crows, because that was the game I played against the Boltons, and I was like completely dominating, and my opponent was just like starting to get demoralized and having a bad time, and I was like, I could just like ease off the gas. I really don't care that much about this. And then I look over at the score. It was a tie game. Because I kept killing his guys, and he just kept moving those corpses behind his front lines and was just standing on the objectives. So he was scoring points every time I killed a unit. And it just wound up being a tied game on that basis. And I was like, I'm so sorry, I can't, like, ease off. And it still ended a tie game, just that I won in, like, points destroyed.
I was a little disappointed. I was so hopeful. We had a super vibrant scene, I want to say early 2025, and I was hopeful we would have 3 teams from Kansas City go to compete in the team event. And then by the time Nationals got to be, some of those players had lost interest, so it's like, okay, we have 2 teams going up. And then by the time it got to the team event, one of those Kansas City teams decided to depart early, so then it was just 1 team. And then we didn't even have a full 4 players. We had 3 players. So we had to have someone added in. It's like, oh man, I was a little bummed. I'd been so excited and so hopeful, but it still worked out.
We did at least kidnap one of the guys from the KC team that went home early.
Yes.
So he wasn't from KC though.
He was a Chicago.
Yeah. He was just like friends with those guys. So yeah, season 6 has been really hard on our local gaming group. Like it came out and it was strong for like I don't know one event I want to say, but after that I feel like everybody kind of got turned off by just how it on a competitive level. Season 6 has been a little rough. All the free attachments lead to a lot of gotcha mechanics and a lot of like, haha, you idiot, you attacked me. Now I play 3 or 4 different effects on you and you explode. and like if you're playing really seriously, it's not always a lot of fun. I think if you're like playing casually, you don't really know how to play all that well. Like it's pretty great because like sometimes you just show up and you're like, I've come up with a brilliant idea. I'll blow you up. And then your friend's like, oh my God. But it only happens to them like once, and then you go back to your not very good lists later because you're like, I just like the elephants. Then it's okay. But when you're like playing to win, season 6 has been pretty brutal.
Yeah, season 5 had been really well balanced. Season six tried something new, and I think I can't speak for every community, but at least our local community, we had some players just burn out a little bit. Some didn't like the competitive aspect that the new elements that season 6 brought, and some of it was just a little bit pushing a game that had always been fairly light and easy to grasp and just adding more onto it with all these extra attachments. It was just more.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It felt heavier.
That's true. I had an online group that I played with aside from this one as well, and I used to be able to get games all the time. And my online group also died in season 6, and one of the guys that I played with most regularly, that was exactly what he told me. It just felt overwhelming to have to know what all the attachments do. Like, it's enough to know what all your opponent's forces do, what all the NCUs do, and then you just start saying, like, oh, but this guy has a boondogler in it, and he has, like, and it just completely changes the way the unit behaves.
I think it's a little disappointing, too, because I feel like it removes a lot of the uniqueness about this game versus a typical war game where it is all just on the table, because now you're like negating the importance of the NCUs because, well, who cares if I heal over there when I have this attachment in every unit with Fueled by Slaughter or whatever the case is, right?
There's a lot of healing from being attacked and stuff like that. I don't know, it's strange. We've gotten into a meta where just like retreating and not fighting is really it's a pretty strong strategy at this point. But anyway, we'll circle back to that because some of these lessons were hard learned from the Nationals tournament itself. But let's talk about some interesting stuff that we did. So, KC Source Nation! Kurt and I ran Sources!
Yeah, I think it kind of started with our buddy Brandon, Cronesaholic online. He always kind of memed about Sources and said, the Source Nation, the rise of the Source Nation is upon us for years. For years.
Yeah.
Harping.
He was playing Targaryens, and then he realized he was like looking at the Zorses, and he's like, you know what? Aside from their awful morale, they're kind of the same as my Screamers. And they kind of are. I mean, like, as long as they don't get attacked, they're pretty strong. Like, they're very agile. They've got crit blow. They can turn off abilities. They have a 7-5 attack profile, which is actually a little better than Screamers. It's 7-5, like, optionally. You have to choose it.
Mm.
Yeah, like, they're actually pretty good. And he would be telling us that. He'd be like, they're actually pretty good.
And I know you'd run them instead of your Clegane Brigands for a while there, Greg.
Yeah, well, because I started running Clegane Brigands because I kind of wanted the mobility, and they're a little cheaper. And I was running them, and the problem with the Clegane Brigands is that the panic stuff is always just so unreliable. Like, if you extrapolate the math off to infinity, vicious is an okay keyword. But on a game-to-game basis, it's like you don't know when the opponent's going to fail that panic test, so if they don't fail it early, then especially on a fragile unit like the Brigands, they just get wiped on the counterattack, and then you don't even really get to use the keyword anymore. So I was looking at the Zorses, and I was just like, well, they're also 5+ armor and 7+ morale. There's like no difference in survivability to me, because the Brigands are just that bad, but they have crit blow, which typically gets a good result. Like, you usually roll at least 1/6 on 7 dice. So although, in theory they're kind of the same, at least it's evenly distributed with the Zorses. And then, of course, the Zorses also get to disable abilities. So I found that as far as light cavalry goes, the Zorses are just better for the Lannisters than using the Brigands. And you also get the Fueled by Slaughter from the attachment, the Clegane Butcher, So the chip damage that they take from stuff like crown zaps and everything, you can just make that go away with an attack. So they've been really effective for me. They've been one of my star units, really.
They're good, and they're cheap. Screamers are still better, though.
Everybody was surprised when we took them. Kurt also brought them. But for Kurt's case, I know this was because Stannis does not really have any cavalry.
My road to Zorses was a long, winding road that had zero forecast of Zorses. It's just sort of where we ended up.
Say, hadn't you only played them like one time before Nationals or something, Kurt?
I think I'd played them like a couple times before and never been impressed by them. I'd always loved my Champions of the Stag way back in the day. And I'd loved my heavy cavalry and putting my points into them and having them be a real focal piece of my list. And then, what was it, season 4? Season 3? One of those seasons, they just double nerfed my Champions of the Stag. And I've said they've been awful for years, and I refuse to play them. It's like, okay, well, I need an alternative, because I need a cavalry element to my army. And so I'd been flirting with different options. Flayed men, I tried them out. I didn't love the flayed men, because they also were only throwing 6 dice.
They have that same problem. It's like it's intimidating presence with vicious, and that's really good.
Yes, but
if the opponent
if
fails
that
the test.
coin flips on tails instead of heads, then it's like, oh,
they're just worse.
And they were 8 points, and so that would limit my list building options. And so then I looked at Hedge Knights for a little while, and that was just too many zones to control, because as Baratheons I wanted to control crown and letters, but Hedge Knights wanted swords and bags. I'm like, I can't control 4 out of 5 zones on a tactics board. And so then I was looking at, I played Crownland Scouts for a long time, and Crownland Scouts are, this great utility piece, but they had almost no combat presence. And so I looked at my Champions of the Stag again, and what I figured I was so disappointed with was just the complete absence of offensive output. And what I was looking at with a cavalry element was like, oh, I need a mobile element. So I thought, what has both offensive output and mobility? And I look at Zorses, and it's like, wow, these guys can hit pretty hard, and their speed's 6, which is wild for Baratheons. Like, what did you see that guy? I didn't even see him. How do you make that?
How do you run that fast? Yeah.
And so I took Zorses to Nationals. I think I had maybe one practice game with them before going in.
What do you mean you're more aerodynamic because you've taken off your shirt and covered your chest in butter?
And so, and I found that I had some real good success with them, especially in the earlier rounds. Half the time I didn't even need to attack with them. It was just the threat that they could attack. I just get them around my opponent, and then eventually behind my opponent. It's like, oh, I'm not going to charge your front. Oh, I'm not going to charge your flank. Ooh, am I going to charge your rear? And then keep flirting with that and make them turn in circles the way that I'd always been the one turning in circles. Yeah. I think I played Wes's Targaryens so many times leading up to Nationals, and so many times I was the one circling the wagons, trying not to get outflanked, where it's like, you know what? I want some of that. I want to be the one in his position where I'm the one making my opponent turn around and feel threatened from every angle.
Yeah, that was critical to the games that I was playing too. I was running Sparrow and then trying to rely really hard on attrition, because I was also using the Warrior Sons. And it was funny because after one game, like one of the higher rated games, some of the guys' friends came over and they were like, yeah, like this guy that we play with, he says Warrior Sons are terrible, but like, man, they're so dominant. Look at them, how good they are. And it was kind of funny because I didn't really have like time to rant about it or get into this. It's like Lannisters is such a bizarre army. But like Warrior Sons are not really very good. Like their friend was right. Warrior Sons are not really very good, but if you set them up just right. So I was like running Sparrow, and then I had Tyrion Lannister, so I could go and get the cards, the Protection of the Father, so that they would block a bunch of hits. But then the Zorses, what they were doing was, like, the worst thing that can happen to your Warrior Sons is they get ganged up on, because yeah, they can block a few extra hits, but they only have a 4+ save, and they'll break down pretty quickly if the opponent focuses on them. I didn't want the opponent attacking them more often than I had cards to save them with. So if you've got those Zorses on the flank, though, your opponent is not really focusing anymore on doubling down on the Warrior Sons. Now they're like spinning around and trying not to get flanked by the Zorses. They're not going in for that aggressive charge. So it would wind up that in a lot of games, the Warrior Sons were just fighting enemies one-on-one and getting to survive through the cards, and the Zorses just covered them. So the Zorses didn't actually attack very often, but they always had that threat of like, oh god, they're right there. I can see them. They're right there. They're coming. And it just keeps your opponent honest. Keeps them from doing whatever it is that they want to do. Yeah, it's bizarre. And like I would talk to people afterward, and even if like the Zorses kicked their butt, they would still like talk down on it. They'd be like, yeah, I just don't see him working. And that was kind of like the funniest thing. They're like, oh no, their armor's real thin and they've got no morale. And I'm like, well, just don't engage with them. Just have them be there. They just exist to scare people. No one wants to be bitten by a zebra. Which that's another funny thing about Zorses. I like to joke. This is a setting where people are allowed to ride like polar bears and dragons. But like you can't imagine people taming a zebra. They're too bitey. They had to be Zorses. They had to be bred with the horse before you could ride the things.
Yeah, they're not perfect. There is a downside to them, right? I found them to be extremely valuable in terms of the threat that they would pose, even if they didn't necessarily attack. It was the fear of that attack. Once I got to day 2, I was going up against the top players at that point. I went 4-0 day 1, and day 2 I went up. My first opponent was, spoilers, the eventual champion, Evil Morty, who came down from Canada.
Oh yeah, and he was running double cavalry.
He was running really hard to double Telecavalier Rob Stark list. And
you can't outmaneuver that very
I couldn't outmaneuver it, or I couldn't risk being charged by his Telecavaliers because my resources were so fragile. So it almost got flipped on its head, where it's like, oh, now my threatening piece that I've been, ooh, look at me, I'm a ghost, scaring people with, now I'm scared to send them out.
Actually, my morale is 7+. Think about it.
So I tried to do what my normal Baratheon playbook says to do, which is, I'm going to engage you with my Kingsmen. Well, spoiler alert, I took Kingsmen.
Can't believe
shocker.
It. Yeah. What do you mean?
And this phenomenon occurred where my Kingsmen and my Baratheon grinding power did not grind. My opponent's Tully Cavaliers ground me down. Because, Lance Cavalry are really good at sitting still and grinding.
Yeah, they're famous for it. I mean, the Tully Cavs certainly are. It's been like, what? How many seasons has this been a problem? And in season 7 is like the first time they're theoretically looking at it.
Yeah.
Because it has been. It's been at least since I started playing, which was like back in season 3. They were doing that.
Now, to my opponent's credit, he ground down my Axel Kingsmen because my Axel Kingsmen didn't have the healing that my Stannis One True King Kingsmen had. So he ground that unit, and then with the other one, my Stannis unit, he would retreat 1 inch at a time. Because Rob has access to so many extra retreats. So that way he could maintain that threat, so I couldn't send my sources out. So he played exceptionally well, all the credit to him. But that was frustrating. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to be good at grinding, and I lost the grinding fight. And in that case, Zorses didn't really help me. And looking back, what would have been better would have been to have Kralin Scouts and use that tactical reposition to at least get my Stannis Kingsman onto that center objective first, so that even if I can't push him off, he couldn't push me off, and I could have played that grinding game a little bit more to my advantage. And that's something that the Zorses didn't have. The Zorses didn't have the tactical reposition. So it's like, they had been my MVP through games 1 through 4. But once I got to game 5, they became my Achilles heel.
Yeah, they're good harassers and flankers, but if they can't do that role, they really do just fall apart. I had the same problem. I got all the way to competing for second place, but it was against a Martell player. And as soon as I got there, he was like looking at my list, and he's like, "You're not running Knights of Casterly Rock at all?" Like, he was right, because as soon as I sat down across, like, I was playing a Martell player, and I was like, man, because that was like one of the things that I knew I needed to build for, and instead of building for it, I made my second list be like this completely stupid theoretical thing that didn't work, and I didn't have any Knights of Casterly Rock. It would have been really bad for him if I did, because the Martells their morale's not amazing, and so shooting the Knights of Casterly Rock can backfire on them. But I didn't have them, I just had the Zorses, and then it was like, alright, if I move my Zorses up close to you, you will just take a free maneuver and shoot me, and then my Zorses will die. Like, they couldn't do their thing in that game either. But for a lot of the other matches, they were really good. They don't do well against other cavalry. They don't do well against Martells. So they do have those huge weaknesses. You shouldn't have Zorses in both of your lists. Is the lesson that I'll take away from.
Yeah, they're like a side piece. They're like your dagger, but they're not your longsword.
No.
They're not the tool for all situations.
No. But speaking of list building, though, I'm proud to say that I flabbergasted a couple of people with some of my choices. People were shocked. Everything kind of came together, and it would be difficult to explain exactly how it all worked. But like, I built this list, the one that won most of the games that I played over the course of the season. But one of the things I was doing was I was running Tommen, for example, and people were shocked. They were like, "Tommen, really? Like at nationals?" And it's doing really well. Like, why Tommen? Why is this doing so well? And part of that was because I was also running Tyrion Giant of Lannister, which allowed me to sacrifice 2 cards, and then I would go in and I would get Intrigue. And I know you guys understand what I'll do with this. I'll just play Intrigue. Yeah, 4 rounds in a row. Whatever is your favorite NCU, it no longer has abilities.
Might as well not have them.
Just don't have them. And it's really easy to chain because I would also have Peter. And so Peter would take Crown, he would convert to a different zone, take something else. And then I have Crown, and then every time I play Tommen, I would just get Intrigue again. Intrigue and Subterfuge is, in my opinion, the strongest card in the Lannister-based deck. Now, we've talked about this before. People will often say, like, oh, Counterplot is your best card. But I don't think Counterplot is your best card. I think it's just the most infamous card.
Intrigue is consistent value.
Yeah. It's reliable. You know what your opponent NCUs are. You can see them. You know when they're going to be played because your opponent has to announce, like, hey, I'm playing this. And so you can play that card and you know exactly what you're getting out of it. Counterplot, you don't know what's in your opponent's hand. And when they play a card, you go to block it, you don't know what else is still in their hand. You also don't even know if Counterplot is necessarily going to work. And in fact, during my fight for second place against a Martell player, I had what is it? The one where one unit activates but another unit moves.
Cunning ploy?
Cunning ploy. Yes, cunning ploy.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, cunning ploy went out, and it was like a devastating cunning ploy. It was like he took a march like right into my space on a unit that hadn't activated yet, but I had Counterplot in my hand, and so I threw it out there and rolled a 1 on Counterplot. You know, it's like it makes me so angry sometimes.
Well, now you know how everyone feels when Counterplot works against them. See,
this is kind of what like people will talk about that. They're like, oh, the cards should be like, it's not fun to have your cards blocked, which is why your cards need to block themselves randomly. I don't know why. Like, why is that? I understand it's more fun for you, but then why do I even have the card? I don't get it. And season 7, I don't know if you guys have looked at the new Counterplot, but the proposed Counterplot
it's gonna always work. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, it always works. Yes. However, you have to pound your own NCU up the butt
NCU
to make
it. Yeah. And we'll dive into season 7 a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some stuff. So you had a lot of Tommen NCU. Greg.
I did.
Castle Rock Honor Guard, did they make an appearance?
Of course they did. They're mandatory.
Of course they did.
Yeah, you can't not play them. What surprised people was that I used Warrior Sons instead of a second unit of Honor Guard. That was what really threw everybody, because like people, they're used to the double Honor Guard. They're not used to seeing the Warrior Sons. But I was running Sparrow. Sparrow gives you the free Champion of the Faith. Champion of the Faith generates Faith. And the only way you can play that unit is by generating Faith. So, like, I was like, well, as long as I'm generating Faith, I may as well take advantage of it. I'll get a little tankier. Without Sparrow's Protection of the Father card, I find that the Warrior Sons will lose fights to almost every other 7-point unit in the game. Or in the case of Greyjoys, to 6-point and 5-point units.
Yes. Oh gosh. we can talk all about Greyjoys. Do we want to at least touch on?
Yeah, I guess we'll go. I'll talk about my list peculiarities and I'll finish that. But anyway, so the Warrior Sons without the card, they lose to everybody. But yeah, I had the faith grinding. I had the faith stuff going on, so they were okay. And then the other thing that was really funny that took everybody by surprise was I brought Jamie maimed hostage,
Ah.
who you like never see, let alone in a competitive game. But I was already running Peter, and Peter was already claiming crown to benefit Tommen. So I was like, what the heck? I mean, I'll just ruin someone's day with Jamie. And so Jamie, he inflicts a -1 to hit on whatever you put him in. And I think what most people like to do is they like to put Jamie into someone's archers, because archers attack more often, and so that feels like the best way to maximize your value. But I just didn't want to lose those frontline fights, so instead, I was putting Jamie in whatever was like the most crack melee troop that people had, and then I would try to keep a weakness token on those units all the time. So if you imagine like your Kingsguard going from a 3+ to a 4+ with a weakness token, and I like now we're grinding, and it's like I play the card to block all your hits and also make you reroll everything, and I would win. I would win a lot of fights that people normally expected to win. Yeah, they were like weird like off meta choices that kind of took people by surprise, and I feel like being off meta helped some, but it did all kind of come together really well to just like be a solid attrition list that worked against most things, but did not really work against Martells, and I should have brought a better second list for that. I also didn't really have any solution for the Greyjoys, but like I said, we'll get into this.
Is there a solution to the Greyjoys?
No.
Yeah, we'll get into the Greyjoys in a second. So we had, as much as we had some off-meta flavors of some sources here, and Jamie named Lannister here, and a Warrior Son there, I still used Kingsman. Greg, you still used Castle Rock Honor Guard.
I mean, you have to.
Hey, Wes, you're Targaryens. Did you run Screamers?
No. Yes.
Don't you lie to us.
To be fair, in one list, I had no Screamers, and my only Cav was Jorah. I also didn't actually play that list a single time, but it was there. So, I shocked a few people by not bringing a single dragon, though.
Ah.
Yep, no dragons this time. I haven't been enjoying them as much. You give up points in a lot of dragon lists, and I don't like it.
Yeah, you can't put attachments in dragons. Just funny, you'd think that they could be ridden by somebody.
That'd be awesome, but no, sadly you cannot.
I did see some interesting stuff. One of I think the runner-up Stark actually did not run any Tully Cav at all. He was doing some interesting stuff. He had like Roderick Castle as his commander, and he was relying a lot on sort of a crypt blow sundering blitz. And he was doing really good. He was also a lot of fun to play. He was very he was like having a good time. He was just there to have a good time, and you could tell it.
Yeah, I played him in like my second game, and it was insanely close. I had it to the last minute, and then I learned that when you sacrifice Eddard, he immediately comes off the NCU, the tactics board. He was able to take horses a second time, I think is what happened, and take the victory.
That's clever.
Yeah, I was like, cool. Didn't know about that one, but you live and learn, I suppose.
Unfortunate to learn at a highly competitive tournament.
I mean,
that is a place you could learn.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a whole lot I think I could have done to prevent it anyways, and it was really well played, but still sucked.
But yeah, a lot of the staples did show up. I had to run Tywin as well, and a big part of that is just that the Lannisters suffer so much when it comes to attrition. Like, of all the armies, Targaryens also don't heal very well. So I feel like it's fairly even when I play against Targaryens, but Lannisters just don't heal that much. A big part of the Lannister strategy is you get that early advantage with Tywin, and then you just gotta hold on to it, because your opponent's gonna be like healing units or bringing them back from the dead in certain cases, and like if you will gradually lose that grind. So if you don't run Tywin as Lannisters, you kind of don't win. Or it's way harder to win. I don't know. It doesn't feel optional. Like I could have not run it, but I would have been at a disadvantage had I in the lists where I had him. I had the second list where Tywin wasn't an NCU. He was my commander, and that is the one game you can watch from me. And is the most embarrassing game. Like I was like, oh, we're gonna be streaming it. Oh gosh, I sure hope I don't choke. That would be embarrassing if I got up here and this was the one game when I choked, and I got up there and I choked so hard. It looked like it was my first time ever playing the game. I was just like, oh my god, in front of everybody, no.
So what you're saying
that
is
will forever be their impression of you.
We should start bringing a camera to every one of our local events.
I'd be like, no, I can really play. I can't actually look. See, documented evidence.
I think we all got a game on that was streamed, didn't we?
No.
At
I was supposed to, and they
Kicked you off the table.
Yeah, I was supposed to be on the stream, and then whoever was watching the stream, I guess, wanted to see a couple people. I'm not complaining. Pretty sure that was actually like my most embarrassing game, I think, maybe. So I'm really not complaining.
Lucked out.
I think we all got to like top table at one point at various points. That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, we all did pretty good. The way that scoring is done is always kind of weird just because it's like you get your rank based on whether, it's like, did you get a crushing victory versus did you get a standard victory?
It's always insane watching you go from like the top 2 players in a tournament and then the loser drop down to like 3rd or 4th because, if they get a crushing defeat, it can easily drop you down multiple places, and it's just really weird to watch.
Oh, yeah, I was undefeated day 1, and I was like in 3rd place or 2nd place or something. At the end of the tournament, I finished in like 16th.
Yeah, well, I was competing for 2nd place, got a crushing defeat on that one, and then wound up in 8th.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I'm up there. I'm like, really? And then nope, not even top 5. The scoring is also a little strange because, like, you will play a game and you could feel very, very dominant, and then you look at the score and it's like, oh, this was not a very dominant win. This was a standard or even like a narrow victory. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, it didn't feel that way, but...
Well, should we address the elephant in the room?
The freaking Greyjoys!
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I mean, Rob Stark Tully Cavaliers were big too, but I think the biggest attritional force... It was Greyjoys.
God, if you just have to look at it. I don't think any Greyjoys finished below the top half. I am pretty sure that they were all just above the cut for everything.
I just come off my loss to Evil Morty and his Tully Cavaliers, which had outground me, and I'm like, well, that's an unusual feeling to lose the grinding battle as a Baratheon player. Surely that won't happen 2 games in a row. And my next opponent was Binesh, who famously prevented me from winning nationals a couple years ago and made me finish in 3rd place instead of competing against Mickey for the championship. There's Rhaegal with 1 wound remaining, eluding me. So I went up against his Greyjoys this time, and he outground my Kingsman, which had 2 to the last tokens and a Selyse and Shireen. And despite all that,
don't you just love how cost efficient they are right now? Isn't it great?
I love those 5-point Stony Shore pillagers who are wearing cloth, having the same armor value as my full plate 7-point Kingsman.
Oh yeah, it's so awesome. Yeah. No, the Stony Shore pillagers are nuts for the fact that it's like they get up to 8 attacks, and now because of the free attachments, they can get like rerolls on those. And then a bunch of other stuff going on. I played against one list during the team event where like they got wiped down to just Dagmar Cleftjaw, but Dagmar Cleftjaw has the battle scars thing. So it was like, oh, you attack with maximum ranks and also crit blow and all these other things. And you have precision. Like it's so much for a 5-point unit. Like that is so much power.
And so much healing backing it up.
I know, yeah, the Greyjoys have like...
Oh, I rolled an amazing Kingsman roll. Here's 11 hits with Sundering, because I rolled a bunch of 6s, and I wipe out 2/3 of the unit, 3/4 of the unit, and then before I even have another activation, they're back to full health. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, and then they heal and attack you at the same time. Wow!
Don't worry.
Yeah.
We made Assault Orders weaker, so it's lowest attack dice. But Greyjoys still have We Do Not Sow, so that's still max attack dice and heals on top of attacking and
yeah. The other thing that's really bad is the Iron Victory Crew.
Yeah.
So between those 2 units, they're both like 4+ saves, which is pretty high for the Greyjoys. They used to not have those kind of saves for all the healing that they did, and then like they're both doing like they have keywords. So the Stony Shore have precision plus whatever attachment you put in them. And then the Iron Victory Crew is got Sundering and can inflict panic when they charge. But the Sundering is really kind of the money. But yeah, those are like 6 points. The Iron Victory Crew, 6-point unit, but fighting on the level of a 7-point unit, like 8 attacks with Sundering, hitting on 3s. And it's like it's no wonder they finished in the top half. Especially, too, because even when you beat them, then they get to play Balon, and they come back to life standing behind you. So, when I got in, I was lucky. I only had to play against one Greyjoy player, And that was the game where it was like most humiliating. But also, as soon as I saw what was going on, I knew I was going to lose because it was like honed and ready. He had his units, but they can all heal, and they're just going to be sitting on these objectives, and I can be sitting there on the objectives. And I was looking at it, and I was like, well, if I kill anything, it's going to come back to life behind one of my already weakened units, and it'll just kill it and then take that objective and be perfectly comfortable there. Like, I didn't really see a way to win at all. Like, I don't think it would have been possible unless my opponent just played like a moron.
And at that point of the tournament, you're not going to be facing morons.
Right. Like, I knew he was going to be smart enough that he wasn't just going to give up free points. Well, this is it. I lost. So, like, yeah, as soon as we deployed, I was just like, it's over. So, yeah, that I don't know. It's really brutal. We've been asking for Balon to be nerfed also for years now, and they just never, ever really do anything about it.
Well, not even like a nerf necessarily, just like a change. Just like, this bringing a unit back has such a powerful effect. And even if they keep that, make them spawn it in their own area, or like the fact they can put it behind me, it's like...
Yeah, it's so brutal.
I'm worse off for killing the unit.
I don't think they should get the attachments. I think that's the worst part of it.
There's so many things.
But I mean, you also have like, what's the free folk card? You get to bring in a super strong 4-point raiders, and then it's like, nope, you got to put it on your side. And then Balon's just like, yeah, we do whatever we want.
The biggest thing is the putting it behind you. It's like the reposition. Well, this unit just teleported.
I think it's a little ridiculous. You can bring back essentially like a 9-point unit with him as well, though. Because like if you put
and like
one of their 2-point attachments,
one of the most frustrating and powerful things that Baratheons can do is to the last. We don't die, or Sleece and Treen. We stay alive with 1 wound remaining. Wow, that's really neat. Greyjoys, what do? We bring a full 12 wound unit back to life in your ass.
Right.
Oh, but speaking of, they also have that card. What is it's like, what is dead may never die?
Yep.
Is that
so they also have do not die tricks. Yep.
Yeah, so it's like you think you kill him, but I've got the card that prevents me from dying. Yeah.
So Greyjoys are just a little much.
I am understanding the frustration of behind a little bit more, though. Being forced to play not all cav lists, because before I didn't. I mean, who cares? I can just turn around and then I'll attack you. I do understand the behind part a little bit more now, though.
It's incredibly upsetting. It's so powerful and just downright unfair, honestly. One of the proposals that I've liked is the idea that Balon should be killed when he brings the unit back. I personally think I would be okay with the unit appearing behind me if it killed Balon and the unit appeared activated, because it's like Balon's activation is being used here. And like that might not be a great advantage for my opponent, but good, you're coming back to life behind me. I already killed you. I feel like it's like that meme, the Simpsons meme, where like Moe throws Barney out of the bar.
Yes.
Yeah, Barney is just standing behind him again.
Well, that's it. That's like picture 1,000 words in a.
Yeah, like just put a Greyjoy helmet on Barney's head, and that is exactly what this ability is. Yeah. Didn't I throw you out of here already? What are you doing, Victorian? Yeah, during the casual game though, even too, somebody like commented. They came up behind us. Like I was like I ran right down the middle of his formation and I like broke him. And I was just like dominating. It looked really dominant. And then they came back and he'd like won at the end of the game. And he goes, "What happened?" And I was like, "I killed a unit." And then the guy was like, "Oh yeah, that'll do it against the Greyjoys." And I'm like, "I know, right?" Isn't it fun? But anyway though, yeah, so Greyjoys very dominant at Nationals. Who knows what they'll look like in the future?
Who knows?
Yeah. I kind of hope that Balon continues to be this obnoxious, like, thorn in everyone's side. Like, we're seeing so many changes and so many... It would be really, really funny if Balon did not get changed. But at the end of the day...
he makes it through.
Like, we're at the point of comedy with him.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
You can edit this part out, but I have to say this. I don't want it in there because I don't know. I doubt it was intentional. But I just realized that my last game was not played correctly because he definitely brought his Iron Makers back with Balon, who wasn't in the list he chose.
Oh.
That's why I've been so silent. I was about to say something, so I was looking up the list, and I was like, wait, what? Yeah, so.
You know what? In fairness,
now I feel a little better. I said it. It's out. You can cut that out. I'm not throwing out any accusations or shade. Just,
Well, we could. Well, here's the thing. I'll say in defense of that guy, I feel like with the Greyjoys, you play Balon so much that maybe you forget you don't have Balon. Yeah, so we did. I actually also have a story. I had an opponent that I did not super love. At one point, I ran into like an actual bona fide neckbeard, like a dude with a legitimately he'd grown a beard on his neck. Sweaty palms and all that stuff.
Ugh.
And I had an incident with him. So I was using the Warrior Sons, and he asked me to explain the ability to him a couple of times. And I thought that he had it, like we were good, and we were ready to roll. And he would attack me, and I would remove my guys. And he kept stopping me, and he'd be like, you need to take one more guy off. And he would do this after, like, I would do panic tests and everything, and I would go in and get my faith token and everything, and I would start to move on. And he'd be like, oh, you need to remove one more guy. And by that point, it's like, I can't remember how many models got pulled off, and I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry. And I would take off one more guy. Because I'm like, oh, my opponent's trying to help me out, and I could forget. It's like, I'm nervous, it's a tournament, I want to do well. And I'm like, oh, sorry, I'll take it off. So he does it again. And like the second time, I'm like, oh man, I'm usually more on top of that. Thank you. Sorry, I'll do it again. He's like, and then he does it again. And so finally, we get to a point where like the unit survives an attack and it has one guy left. And it was like he'd done 7 hits, and then I played Protection of the Father and like blocked 5 or something like that. I don't know. Whatever it was like the math was not that hard. And it was like, so I take 2 wounds. And like I knew that I took 2 wounds, and then that brought me down to like 5. So it was just, I had to count to 2. Could not have screwed it up. And so he's like, no, you lost. This unit is dead now. And I go, no. Like, and then it turned out that what was happening is that he was undercounting the number of hits that the Warrior Sons blocked. He didn't want to back down, though. He wanted to remove the unit from the game. So he got upset. He started to go to like call for a TO. But his friend had been watching the entire time. And so his friend was like, no, you're like have the ability wrong. Like he's actually you've been taking little bites out of this unit all game, and you actually have the advantage. You have the unfair advantage. And he was like, no, I'm doing it right. I'm doing it right. He's doing it wrong. He was going to call the TO. And I had this like feeling in my stomach. I knew that if the TO got over there, the TO confirmed the plain black letter rules, that he was then going to forget how many wounds I actually took. It was going to be suddenly like, no, he needs to take off one more guy. It was very upsetting. I was lucky that his friend was watching, because at that point it would have been 2 against 1 when the TO came over, and we could both say like, yes, we took the appropriate number of units off. So he gave up on calling the TO. But then this guy came back later during the team event, and at first, like, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I was like, maybe he's just really stressed because he lost. That was one of my crushing victories. I was like, maybe he was stressed out. He was mad. I was like, it wasn't cool. But they gave us like a sheet, and they were like, would you play this guy again? And there wasn't like a I don't know option. There was just like yes or no. And I was like, all right, benefit of the doubt, yes. And then I saw him again, and he wasn't even playing. He was just sitting next to the dude that I was playing. And so we were talking about the rules, and he was like, is this one of the game modes where you score points when you kill a unit? And I was like, yes. And then that player from before, he goes, no, it isn't. And I go, no, yes, it is. Every time there's the rule that's like victory by slaughter or whatever. And he's like, it's not listed in the game mode. And I go, well, it's not listed in the game mode because it's a universal rule. And then he started to like read the game mode rules to me like out loud. And I got mad at him. I was like, go talk to a TO. Because I didn't even know why I was having this. I wasn't like playing with him.
He wasn't even playing.
Yeah. I was like, why am I having this argument with you? Go talk to a TO. And so he went to go talk to Edgehopper. And then he came back and he goes, I was right. You do score a point when you kill a unit. And I was like, what? Like, what? Like, what were you just arguing? And it didn't make any sense because I don't know what, like, why would, if that's what he was arguing, why would he be reading from the game mode rules instead of going to the top and reading the rule that says you gain a point for killing a unit? And then I got mad at him. I was like, I don't want to hear from you for the rest of the game. Like, you can sit here, but you better be quiet. And then he went on to count victory tokens for both of us. So when I would go to look at my opponent's side of the board, there were 2 stacks of victory tokens, and I didn't know how many victory tokens my opponent had because I didn't know which stack was his and which stack was mine. And I was counting my own victory tokens, so I had to count my tokens and then look at which stack was the correct. It's very frustrating. But that was a memorable person from the Nationals. Everybody else was cool, and I had a wonderful time. I really liked the Stark player. I thought he was a lot of fun. The Greyjoy player that I played against, he was also a cool guy. I know he really wanted to win that sportsmanship award, but he did bring Greyjoys, and the Stark player didn't even use Tolycav, and I was just like, man, I got to give it to the Stark player without Tolycav.
I think I had good sports in all my games. See, my favorite hands down. I played a lot of great guys, but my favorite hands down was playing Matt Cave, Rydok, his free folk. He was just a ton of fun to play. He was a true delight to play with. I want to give another shout out to Alan Campos, Skulltaker 59. He ran the. I mean, I hated his list, but he was a good guy. He was running Over Martell in a unit of dervishes, I'm going to say, and then he had 3 units of sand skirmishers. And so it's just and I had to play him twice. I played him in the main event and in the team event, and I went up against that list both times. It was a nightmare trying to tie down those freaking sand skirmishers, and they're shooting me nonstop. And
yeah,
but he was great too.
There is no way
shout
to
out to
play
Alan
against Martells and experience happiness at the same time. I say this as a Lannister player, though.
I can't. There's no single, even the voting for best sportsman at the end was really hard for me. I didn't have a single bad player, not really any bad experience. The worst time I had was when I would realize I did something wrong, and I was like, shit, but that wasn't, that's not on my opponent. So, no, they were all great.
I'll give one last shout out to Brian, who ran the tournament himself. He was the TO. So he didn't get to play in the main event, but he did play in the team event. So Brian Edgehopper, we'd played before years ago at Adepticon, and I'd beaten him back then. And so this was his chance to get even with me, and he wiped the floor with me. So I want to say congratulations to Brian for evening the score, and good game, man.
Oh, I also want to say I did run into at least one guy. I think my first opponent was someone who had very little experience with the game. So something like Nationals, you might be very intimidated and think that oh man, everybody there is going to be this crack experienced super elite player. But we had some guys who showed up who were kind of mainly into the game casually, and because of the way that it works, they wound up being filtered kind of down towards the bottom, but where all the other kind of more casual players were and everything. So shout out and props to those guys who came out in spite of maybe not having a lot of experience. I hope that they all still had a great time. The guy that I played with was fun to play with. Before I signed up, I was a little nervous. We have a lot of really competitive players in Kansas City. Or I have at least had lots of competitive players in the past before Season 6. So I was used to thinking man, I get my ass kicked by Micah and you, Kurt, and Brandon is really good. And so I was man, I've got to Nationals and have to play against all these really good players. But I started to realize gradually that of a pool of 50 players, would all of them be as good as Micah? I don't know. Turns out that's not the case. Actually playing at Kansas City is a much rougher experience than going to Nationals. I think I got a broader... There's a lower concentration of really skilled players at Nationals.
You've been forged in fire.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, there was a broad variety of skill levels. But speaking though of casual play, I did want to say we missed this point. So the Lannisters, there's an interesting relationship here. We talked about Honor Guard being completely necessary. It's a little bit weird where casual play versus competitive play, they're different worlds. And so with casual play, I don't know if Greyjoys necessarily feel as oppressive, but Lannisters wind up feeling incredibly dominant, incredibly oppressive. For Season 6, we had, for example, Wes's 3 Honor Guard list, which just felt toxic.
I would never run a toxic list, Greg.
Lies! You took it to a tournament.
To be fair, I only ran it in one game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little oppressive list. It's fine.
Yeah. Lannisters are just really weird currently. Like, they're not very fun to play casual games against, but they struggle at competitive games because of the attritional problems. They're in a really weird space. And I don't really know what to say about that. I feel like Honor Guard should... The ability disable that they do, where they just take away all abilities, I think is the real culprit there. It's like, oh, I just want to play casually. I want to bring units that are not optimal. And then it's like, none of your abilities work. It's very bad.
I think there's a place for turning off abilities in the game. We see it with Tywin NCU. We see it with Rightful Heir Stannis has harsh conditions. There are places where abilities can be turned off, and I think like you need avenues to get around obstacles. I think you don't want an immovable object in the game, right? You want to be able to, at the end of the day, the game needs to progress.
I think the problem though is that they just have it every turn if they want to. Every time they attack.
I think the problem with Castle Rock Honor Guard is the consistency, because it's every attack.
Yeah.
Whereas at least with harsh conditions, it's tied to a card, and you have to expend the condition tokens per ability to shut off. Tywin is once per game, and so that's why I'm looking forward at least a little bit to season 7. I'm totally flabbergasted that. Hey, and what's Jaime gonna do?
Turn off all abilities.
Shut off abilities every single time he attacks, and it's like, well, we're not getting. We're just repeating the same problems again. We're not getting the message of what.
I just want to point out, though, that as a Targaryen player, I'm ahead of the curve of beating the turning off defensive abilities. You just don't have any.
You just don't have any.
Just don't have any.
And then they can't turn anything off. Yeah.
Oh, no, so this is actually a thing. The Lannisters, they really didn't finish in the top half at all. I think I was the only one who got above the middle. But I didn't see hardly any defensive abilities in anybody's lists. Now, it might have been that that's just what they chose to play against me because I had the Honor Guard. But I think that the Honor Guard probably controlled everybody's list building practices. Just because everybody was looking at that and being like, well, there's no point in having defensive abilities because I don't know if I'm going to see the Honor Guard, so I may as well not use them. Like, I think it changes the meta.
I think something that's that reliable, that consistent, I think people have to account for that in their list building. I mean, it was the same thing when... And I'm not saying that Lannisters dominate the same way that other things have, but when you used to see Mother of Dragons full dragon build was a thing. It's like, well, why would I even bother bringing units with high armor saves? It would impact my list building.
Like, it's not necessarily... It's like they don't have to win. They just have to have the threat of existing. And it controls what you can actually bring to the game and what you can play with. And I don't know. That's one of the things that I really wish that they would fix in Season 7. But let's talk about Season 7. They're not fixing any of the things that we'd like to see them fix. They're making the game much worse, in my opinion, but they're not...
Correction. They're fixing one thing that I've really wanted to see fixed for a long time. They're fixing my Champions of the Stag finally.
7-5 attack profile.
7-5 profile.
Yes and no, though, Kurt. See, they're kind of fixing something you like, as in your cots, but then they're also taking it and removing the cav maneuver and making it a shift, which halfway negates the entire point of cav maneuver. Like, it removes a large portion of your maneuverability.
Yeah, that's a pretty... I mean, none of these are...
They're not
finalized or written in stone, but we've seen some pretty massive changes to cavalry to go from a free maneuver to a free shift to a free... now it's like a free shift and a pivot at the end.
Yeah.
And I think for like heavy cavalry, I can get behind that. I think with like light cavalry though, that's going to be really punishing.
You won't be able to use them.
The light cavalry should maintain that mobility. So like for Targ players like Wes, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
You're screwed. Like, what do you...
Yep.
Like, my guys all move forward.
What do I do? I don't know.
Congratulations. Run your screamers straight, grind face. Like,
yeah, they can't do it. Yeah, it's really unclear. I'm not sure what Season 7 is supposed to be making better about the game. Like the cavalry maneuver thing, like maybe he's thinking about the Targaryens and he's saying to himself like, oh, well, all they use is the cavalry. maybe if I make cavalry suck dick. And like I
that
guess
would make
you-
sense, but
Yeah.
it's not necessarily the right approach.
It's not the approach that I would like to see. Yeah. No, like we've talked about this, not just between the three of us, but like as a community, even. Like I know Bryce was talking about, like, it would be great is if all these side units, if instead of just like trying to compete for the same roles, if they just had their own unique things that they were contributing to the army. So like if you imagine, as it is right now, like the Unsullied and the Screamers are both kind of doing the same thing, as they're just supposed to be these fast-moving glass cannon units that go in, hit really hard, but then evaporate on the counterattack. And it's like, well, what if Unsullied did something else? Like, what if they contributed some other important component to the army? Like we've talked about, what if Guardsmen, instead of having Lannister supremacy, could just, like, inflict a panic token at long range? You would use them suddenly. Like, that would be valuable. You would take the unit, and even though it's not attacking, it's just like sitting on an objective and being like, that guy's panicked, and it's weird that instead of going in that direction, we're really just kind of like doubling down on all the same design problems the game has always had, but then getting rid of really solid rules that made the game fun. The tactics board is makes my teeth itch thinking about having to play that.
Well, which one? Because there's like 3 different tactics boards now.
Yes.
I mean, to start
I
with,
had no qualms with the tactics board. Like a tweak here or there would have been like, okay, that makes sense. But the complete renovation, it's just mind-boggling to me. It's weird. I don't like it.
it's like we've always said that the game has really good bones. Like the rules have very good bones, and then watching watching them change the bones, like no, but that was the best part of the game. Why?
Yeah, I think the NCUs and the tactics board and the tactics deck has always been a big highlight of the game. It's added that political intrigue element that you'd expect from Game of Thrones. And it sets it apart from other miniature games in that it's not all about the units on the battlefield, right? And we, at least with one of the versions of the tactics board, we've seen toning down of what the abilities do, a toning down in NCU abilities, and a price hike on those NCUs themselves. And it's like, it seems like we're shifting all this power onto the battlefield, and it's making it more vanilla like every other war game out there. It's like, I don't think a lot of people want to see that.
On that note, I mean, there are model agnostic systems that you can play, and they are popular in some areas. If you want to play Game of Thrones with these models and not have the NCUs, one-page rules is out there. You could just... I've been playing one-page rules. I've been taking my Lannisters and just running models that I normally can't run.
There's nothing preventing people from just running an old version of the game, too, though.
Well, you could. But the point that I want to make is that the systems out there that are like not going to have the NCU board, or not really, that don't respect it, or the cards or whatever, those systems are more mature than like a completely, like a season 7 that is starting over from scratch with like no balance tweaks whatsoever.
I'm just really curious what, this NCU board change is going to mean for the rest of everything. Like, for example, horses turning into a 3-inch shift. So does that make the Targ deck stronger? Because, well, I have plenty of shifts everywhere, so it doesn't hurt my mobility as much as everyone else? Or does that mean my deck is going to completely change and that stuff's going away?
Well, everything is changing.
Yeah, there's like this thick veil of fog where nothing is finalized yet, and we haven't even seen half the factions yet. And of the factions we have soon, like, we've seen half of the Lannister roster, but we don't know what Tywin's gonna do. Like,
man,
it's like it's hard to like judge anything because we don't know yet, and I don't think they know yet.
Some of the name changes are my biggest complaints about it. They're just silly, and it might be a silly complaint. But going to battlefield units, I don't like it. It's silly? It's weird. It's adding more letters to an already crowded card.
Isn't it funny how it was combat units before, but now CU stands for council unit. So if you go back in the past, you look for like advice. If you see an abbreviation and it's CU, is this from the past? Are they talking about a combat unit?
The good news, though, I guess, if they update all of these names for things, they'll finally have to go update the rule book. So maybe they'll finally factor in the FAQ into the rulebook.
No, this would be another thing that would be funny if they just didn't do it. like we just maintain the problems that we shouldn't have. No, the thing that's really driving me crazy about this is I hate so much seeing that NCUs are getting assigned zones. When building Lannister lists, one of the biggest problems that you run into is that Lannisters are very unreliable. They have a lot of things that don't work unless you're controlling specific zones. And I am always trying to build to get away from those drawbacks. And then to see that just like every NCU now is going to have that drawback. Like where it's like, if you can't get to Crown right now, this NCU does nothing. And also they're more expensive than they used to be. Like that just feels so bad. It's like so unfun.
Yeah. You don't want to have to jump through 6 different hoops to pull off one ability.
Yeah.
And that's something that used to plague Baratheons. And it's like, man, our deck is horrible. And then they upgraded it, and we got rid of a bunch of those conditionals. And it's like, oh, now this actually can play.
Yeah.
and now it's like, oh, we're going back to that well again. Like, why?
So I might be wrong on this, but my understanding is that because CMON is going through financial trouble, they've laid off most of the developers, except for Chanel. So this is just him by himself now. And he's getting to go back and make the game fit the vision that he had, which I guess is closer to the original, less balanced, less evolved, less refined game, but with more conditional garbage kind of in your way. And that's like as best as I can assess about it. Is it just like he has a different vision of the game than what most people would want, but he's going to make us play that anyway. And part of this is like he was talking about like, oh, so morale keeps going up. Like over all the different seasons, morale keeps going up. And he acknowledged that the reason why this happens is because players want reliable units. And when morale goes up, people play with those units more. Like they feel comfortable. It doesn't feel good to have a failed morale test cause you to lose like almost an entire rank. So you want that 5+ morale. You want 4+ if you can get it, in the example of Stannis. So now he's going back though, and he's like, oh yeah, so I've got a brilliant idea. Mountains Men, 7 points, 4+ save, 7+ morale. Yeah. Like, what do we... Like, you acknowledge that players want the reliability and then just, like, don't deliver that. Like, it seems like his mentality is that the players are wrong. Like, the wisdom of the crowds is wrong, and he's just going to make us live with it.
I'm not going to argue that at all, but I don't even know how that works out. So, you don't want to fail a panic test, right? But also, Greg, as a Lannister player... You know how it feels when your opponent just passes every single morale test because they're all 4s and 5s.
It's agonizing.
So it's like, it's kind of a double-sided thing. Like, you hurt it and you help it.
Well, I think you can probably say with some consistency, oh, well, my more expensive units being my more elite units, I would expect to have better values for them. And when you see a 7-point unit come out with
7+, yeah.
7 morale. That feels bad.
They're not any more tanky than halberds now. And so it's like, do I take the 5-point halberds? It's got like 8 attacks, potentially with rerolls, I don't know. Or do I take a 7-point unit with the same morale, same save, and they're going to last as long? So as a Lannister player, so you do point out, like, yeah, I hate that a lot of my abilities require me to require panic tests, and my opponent just passes them all the time. So I feel very impotent if I try to use the panic stuff. It's not useful against a lot of things. But that doesn't mean that I think that everybody should have lower morale. Like, I think I understand that everybody likes that reliability, and they want their elite units to feel elite.
I've heard from Lannister players consistently. You, Jabor, back when he used to play, I know it's the taboo name, Carlo, most of them don't necessarily even want their Lannisters to be dipping into panic shenanigans anyways. It's like they play their Lannisters for the control elements. And so and the unreliability comes from relying on panic.
Yeah.
What if the answer isn't reduce everyone's morale so that these panic shenanigans can work. So maybe let people's good units have good morale, and let Lannister's control elements work as control elements, and let's not even make a fuss over this panic nonsense.
I'd be happy with that. I feel like if Subjugation of Power was just like when your opponent activates, they lose an ability, and that was all that card did, it didn't require a panic test, like that would be like a really good card. That would be a strong control card. Maybe it's too strong, but just like something like that would be okay. I don't need my opponent to be doing panic tests. I don't really want them to fail panic tests all the time. It's very unreliable. I would be happier with more control elements. Or even if you didn't want me to have control elements, I would be happy if it was just like I just had some basic reliable tools that I could play. It's like the wisdom of the crowds is that we want more reliable stuff. And somehow Season 7 is just like trying to make everything less reliable and more frustrating. And it's getting away from what I think everybody really is hoping to see. And I don't know. Oh, but anyway, though, I did want to talk about, so Counterplot. Yes, Counterplot. I say like that's a dice roll it's incredible to see that card get more radioactive. Like it was strong when it worked, but a goose egg when it failed. And then to now see the proposal come forward where it's like you have to sacrifice an NCU's activation. You have to like not activate an NCU until your opponent plays a card, and then you have to sacrifice the NCU to play your counterplot. Boy, that is incredible to think that like Michael Chanel hates control cards or counter cards so much that he would make them this unplayable, like this toxic. I kind of get to the point where like if this is what we have to give up to play these cards, if he does not have the ability to make counter cards, I would rather he just like not include them in the game, because that's just like awful. Tyrion also has one. He's got another card, so you actually have two different cards potentially that are both sacrificing an NCU's activations. And then he's also got this brilliant idea where he wants you to like not activate any of your units, because they get all these abilities from like not activating. It's so it's very demoralizing. It's not like I'm not really looking forward to this season.
Yeah, there's a lot of changes that are definitely weird, to the point of I haven't even been paying attention to like the tactics card changes as much as I was, just because it's just so much.
It does something, it's terrible, the feedback comes back, and I think everybody says like this game is just so much worse than what it was. And then they dramatically change everything. Like the tactics board was just like pure misery when it first got released, because it was like, you go to this zone and you recover 1 wound. And then I think people sent feedback and they were like, why would I take an NCU at this point?
Yeah.
And then what are they doing now? It's like you get a free charge action off of it or something, and it'll probably change again, because that sounds too strong. There's no way.
The most positive change they've made that needs to stay on the cards is the Santa hat on the cots and the Discord City.
I thought you were going to give him the credit where it did. Santa hat, yes. Champions should always wear the Santa hat.
Speaking of feedback, have you guys been doing the feedback form on like Facebook or whatever?
Is there a feedback form? Everything I've ever seen is Facebook comments, and everybody's just like, how do we give you feedback? I haven't personally seen anything. It's highly possible I missed it.
I saw a link to that. So.
It's like I just don't use Facebook anymore. And it's like
I don't really Facebook either. Like I have it for Marketplace.
There's a PDF form. I think that what everybody needs to do is they need to find that PDF form. Just write "stop" in every form, and then send.
There's a PDF form for feedback.
Stop, all caps.
Are you supposed to like download it and print it out and snail mail it back?
No, you're supposed to fill it out and then save it and then mail it to them through email. But yeah, I think just stop in all caps every form, then just mail it back, and there you go. I will say, so there is one good thing that's coming out of this change, though. Like this one really good thing, this thing that we're all really excited for, that they're finally doing, that we've been asking for the longest time. They are clarifying what is targeting.
Oh yes!
Oh, hallelujah! Oh my god, so good. Gosh, we came up at our last tournament game. This even came up where we were like playing. I was like, "Hey, Kurt, is this targeting?"
I'm like, let me think about it. I think about like another scenario with another faction where the similar wording in the card.
Yeah, let me cross-reference with the friend. Hang on. Yeah. Yeah, targeting has been the bane of like tournament organizers for this system for so long, and so seeing that they're finally like stating explicitly, like, you are targeting this with this card. It's like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I've been
yes, just spell it out, please, every single time.
Yeah. So we have so many abilities that are like when you get targeted, and you just never know. One of my favorite ones is like, what is it, Blood of the Dragon, where the dragon gets protected from the attack, but the attacker is targeted. So you would not think that.
Well, if you want to talk about Targ ones, it's the weirdest one is how Selmy works. His is just, it's weird because he's like the complete opposite. So you put him on the unit, and then when they're targeted by an opponent's something, I never play Selmy because it's just so
confusing.
He's great, he's strong, but it's just so hard to remember and have everything right. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not that smart.
Hitting traps doesn't target the unit that's going to take the hits from the traps. It targets the trapper that's giving out the hits. And
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and then like Final Strike too is also another one like that. Targets
Final Strike. Yeah, it's like
targets the attacker who then gets hit. It's
not the defender who got hit.
Yeah, and then that one's wild too because Final Strike you can play on a unit that died.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't target them after all, and so like who's doing the strikes? Am I striking myself?
I like to think of it as like a simultaneous, like we're both swinging at the same time and we both cut each other's heads off simultaneously. Like.
That's the best way, to interpret.
And who knows if that card's even gonna make it? I mean, we're seeing changes.
Yeah.
We're seeing Boltons and Lannisters are no longer panic factions, and Boltons are now a token faction, and actually, Lannisters are also a token faction, and Starks are also a token faction.
I absolutely despise the using this token as that token that they've introduced.
They're doing so much like spend tokens to get things that are equal to the token that's already on their stuff now too. That's like. I thought that we'd finally gotten over that. We'd moved past it.
The one thing we've seen for Baratheons, for the token king, rightful heir Stannis, is no longer token. So everyone that didn't use tokens before now uses tokens, and everyone that did use tokens before no longer uses tokens, and it's a whole new world.
What are we doing?
Maybe Targaryens will go back to no token generation.
Counter strategy is gone on the current snapshot, though. So speaking of targeting, that's funny. That's one of the ones that always really gets me. Is I forget sometimes what Tyrion can actually counter strategize, because it's like it has to be targeting the enemy has to be targeted, and that's one of the ones that it's like Final Strike. You'd think that you could counter strategize Final Strike, but you can't because it doesn't target the unit that got attacked. It only targets your unit. So Tyrion cannot stop it because I don't know. But now there is no counter strategy, at least currently. But they changed battle plan. This is one of the things that drives me crazy is currently I use battle plan to mill bad cards and draw only cards that I want. And I feel like Tyrion Giant of Lannister is the most essential piece of my army at any time because our deck is such a mess. But now they've changed that, and you have to go to letters to exchange the stuff, to exchange your cards. But then they don't give you very many NCUs that are able to take letters. I think that only Tyrion can claim letters and still get an effect. So it's like I have to go to letters, but I have to give up my NCU effect, which again, this is like why it makes my teeth itch looking at some of these things, because it's like, what are you doing? There's no plan.
Yeah.
Nothing works. Nothing fits.
Oh, they're changing bookkeeping too, and it's like, what was wrong with bookkeeping?
Yeah, what was wrong with this ability? This was fine.
Well, it was a fine ability.
So yes, bottom line is, it doesn't look like Season 7 is fixing hardly anything that we wanted to see fixed. It is creating tons and tons of problems. But it's defining targeting. We're finally good at targeting defined. Yeah, so one good thing. We get one good thing out of it, and that's targeting. At least we know it is targeted.
Yes.
aside from that,
And Santa hats.
and Santa hats.
Oh, I did like, so let's give credit where it's due. I did like iteration 3, iteration 4, I forget, of the tactics board that's gonna have house zones.
No,
I kind of like the idea of having something to have the flavor, to further emphasize the different flavors of the factions, so that every faction doesn't feel samey.
that is okay. For the Lannister proposal, it just feels like grasping at straws because it's just the bribery effect, but then also bribery is a card you can play. So it's actually kind of funny if you think about it, because it's like I could convert my bribery zone to the bribery card if I want. And it doesn't do anything different. It's just like... but no, I think that I don't understand why... What exactly is the problem with the... 6 NCU but 5 zones thing that we have going on? As it is, it feels like this clever prisoner's dilemma, right? Like we bring 3 NCUs each, and I don't want you to get the zones that you want. So like I am compelled to play my NCUs as quickly as possible, and you are the same, and we go back and forth. And then for some reason, like Michael Shinall is talking about this as though it's a problem. And I actually don't really see that it is a problem. It's one of the more defining features of the game. Why is it bad that we're engaging with it so hard?
I think he'll never admit it, but I think he's had this idea that the proper way to play is 2 NCUs each. And I think people have found, hey, that's not the most effective. I'm going to play this way. And I think that's frustrated him to no ends for years. And I think there have been steps consistently trying to make us go to 2 NCUs each. We've seen NCUs increase in points cost consistently. They used to be 3 points. We're looking at the cheapest NCUs being 5 points going forward.
Yeah.
So we've gone from 3 to 4 to 5 being the cheapest, 6 being the medium. We've seen more elements to the game to restrict taking points on the board, whether that was Christopher Botley for the Greyjoys when he first released as an NCU. And I think he'll deny it, but I think that's the one thing I'm more certain of than probably anything else, is that he has this consternation that we have to play 2 NCUs and you can't play 3 NCUs. It's like, people are just going to play what they want to play and what they find to be the most effective.
I don't understand what his problem is with it. It feels so clever currently. Like it's the prisoner's dilemma thing. It just feels very clever. Like, yes, of course. There's only 5 zones, and yet
we got to kill the golden goose. We can't,
strangle it dead. I don't know. It's like they accidentally stumbled into a genius idea, and then are just like, I got to change this genius idea because it wasn't mine. It wasn't my idea. So
feels that way.
Yeah. But anyway, though, like I say, hey, at least we got your champions of the stag are gonna have 7/5 attack profile, so that's good.
Praise the sun.
Praise the sun. Guardsmen also look playable in the snapshot. Like I could see myself using that. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, and targeting. Hooray!
Yes.
Yeah.
Round of applause.
So that's it. Yeah, next time I guess we'll talk about our end of the year tournament the next time that we do a thing, and then yeah, that's it.
And we'll see where things are then. Yeah. Speaking of U.S. Nationals, the way things are looking, it sounds like U.S. Nationals for 2026 is going to be here in Kansas City itself. I think I will be hanging up my sword from competitive play for Nationals anyway, and I think I will be the head TO. And we will be, I'm 99% on this, that at Meeplethon, which is a convention which raises funds for charity, held here in Kansas City at the Kansas City Convention Center downtown. It's not official yet, but putting that out there, it looks like that's where we are headed, because Brian did a great job at Chopper running things in Chicago, but it was a ton of work, and he is hanging it up. So I think I'm taking the reins next year.
Yeah, but for now, all we can do is tactically withdraw. So
adios.
thanks for joining us, everybody.
Bye.